With this winter and potentially next year being the release of Stranger Than Heaven, a game that finally got even further showcased following my last video about that game, I thought, why not do a retrospective on a different historical Yakuza game, that being Like a Dragon Ishin Kiwami. Now, once this game finally released in spring of 2023, people didn't really talk about it. Not really for months after it came out, and even to this day, it's kind of gone under the radar. So much for a game that was originally highly requested to become a stateside release, huh? For a game that finally got released internationally, I think it's kind of a shame that nobody really talks about it. Now, did I play the original Ishin? No, but that's why in this video I'm going to show footage that just showcases all the new stuff that was marketed to be an Ishin, and stuff that you can tell that was new in any way. Whether it be in this Kiryu skin you see right here, or any of the vibrant costumes that Ryoma has in this game, in addition to the battle cards being in all places of the combat throughout the whole game, and the different health bars, you name it, all the other stuff that was added, including this game now being an Unreal Engine 5. All that being said, how come people don't really talk about this game? Well, from my personal experience, I really enjoyed it. As you probably saw a few minutes ago, I had a little image, a screenshot of my original playthrough when this came out in early 2023. Yes, this was the first Yakuza game I beat on Legend. I decided to do it because I figured I know what to expect going in, of this being a game originally released between 5 and 0. And all that being said, the game still plays generally like that. You know what I mean? The combat's more locked in. It's more of precise in comparison to most Dragon Engine games. It just has that 0 to 5 to the original Kiwami 1 feel that you've known to come to expect, including different fighting styles. Well, of course, I do think that Wild Dancer is the best fighting style, just in terms of its uniqueness and its applicability and being fun and doing a lot of cool things with it. And being a fighting style that is Wild Dancer is actually one that makes sense with the heat system and just all around a fun fighting style to customize your guns and swords for. When it comes to what makes Ishin Kiwami a unique experience in the franchise, well, as I said in my original video about this game 3 years ago, go check that out. Yeah, that little montage of photos I had with the photo mode, I really had to show out that photo mode, that was done in my original video 3 years ago about Ishin. Because if this game is a Kiwami, I gotta do my own Kiwami version of my own work. But as you saw in that photo mode, there's a lot of fun to be had. It is a good addition, and that ties into what I think made this game special. Obviously, if you know about Japanese history, you know why this was an interesting point in their history, this turmoil of the end of the samurai and the rising of the modern era, or at least somewhat as we know it. But I think what makes this game special is because, yes, it is a historical game, and yes, it has a serious story about Ryoma trying to avenge his father's death as he tries to figure out who his killer was, and a plot that, ends up with you fighting a certain somebody at the very top of the conspiracy. It's classic Yakuza conspiracy stuff, but the fun part that extends into the open world, whether it's the original Ishin or its Kiwami counterpart, is seeing faces you know from the series, faces you missed, faces you want to see again, letting you do weird fights again. Like one of my particular favorites that I'll show footage for later in this video is having Akiyama and Ryuji tag team you. It's like just a fight that just feels special, you know what I mean? If they finally release Dead Souls over here, then I think that fight will be even better since those three are playable in that game, but you know what I'm saying. There's something inherently cool. It's fan service, but with a purpose. It's fan service that's bloated and gloated into its own nature, but if I had to float along about it, I like it. I can't really complain. I mean, if you're going to have a natural way for these characters to not exactly be the ones we know, but they're the same actors and faces, and having characters fights you always want to see again, then I think Ishin scratches that itch, and I can't really fault it for it. So if we're doing a Kiwami version, I don't really mind them doing some recasts. Obviously, the few that stick out like Jungi Han, but all in all, not a bad idea to do a few more recasts, because we got to see the Yakuza 0 lieutenants again, and I can't fault them for that. It's interesting having Shibusawa be the second guy you fight as a final boss in the series, thanks to Ishin Kiwami making him a final boss for once again. With all that being said, obviously the big selling point of this game, if you're a Yakuza fan, it's a fan service, and if you're a guy who just likes Japanese samurai games, whether it be something like Ghost of Tsushima or anything else, and this game might scratch a different itch in terms of a more arcadey version that you expect from a Like a Dragon game. But I must say, with the Unreal Engine switch, there are a few bugs. I've shown a few in this video, from the opening of the guy floating to that little chase section of sometimes the AI gets buggy. That's not something you don't usually see glitches like that in a Like a Dragon game, but I wonder if switching to Unreal Engine 5 caused some problem. And there are a few wonky effect blooms or issues, mostly coming from the car. It's not really issues, but they definitely can, really bright up an area or be so overpowered that from a technical standpoint and a gameplay balancing standpoint, they definitely make things a bit wonky. And if you try to fight as just using the fighting styles and you don't use the cards, well, if the cards either you're a bit too overpowered, but then the bosses will use car abilities now, so they did try to make an adjustment over fighting random enemies with just the fighting styles. You're still kind of overpowered if you just use Wild Dancer, so it's kind of like the game is a bit of a mess even on Legend. And the Amon fight was infamously easy for me even back then. It's definitely like a mid-tier Amon fight. Still a great fight, mind you, because you get to fight him twice, but it's just kind of there. And the sub-stories that have additional characters in the series, like Miss Tatsu from Zero, or any of the funny ones, the original characters, like actually seeing the Ibisu Pawn, Ibisu Pawns, like in all these games, seeing the original god that it's named after appear in one of the sub-stories. I showed it in the photo mode. It was just kind of fun. There was still a lot of goofy fun to be had for as serious of an era, a setting that Ishin takes place in. And when it comes to Ryoma himself, I adore that he's Kiryu, but not quite. Obviously, Takeya Kuruda still plays him, but he plays him with a sense of levity they don't really get with normal Kiryu unless he's like really drunk or having a fun time. But that whole drunken brawl with Ryuji and Akiyama after Ryoma is sad that his brother supposedly died, there you go, Bakamitai, I think is one of my favorite scenes in the whole franchise. It's a scene that makes the fan service work and show that even though these are historical figures, you can still have a part of them that is inherently that character you originally know. I think that applies to Ryoma. He's serious, he's stoic, he's stern like Kiryu, but he's full of wisdom, and there's a part of him that feels a lot more alive. He definitely feels like Kiryu without all the tragedy before him. He feels like Kiryu that is going to deal with hard times, but he's still a fully formed guy, one obviously also brought up by this version of Kazama. But the whole story of him, with the plot twist of Kashiwagi being the killer, there's a lot of fun twists and turns, especially with Nishiki, all around that make this Ryoma feel like he's Kiryu enough, but you can still appreciate him as being that historical figure, while obviously being a take on RGG, making their own version of this legend. Oh yeah, and the music's great too. All in all, if you really liked Ishin and you like seeing another chance to fight some of your favorite characters from throughout the franchise, including a few matchups, and their overall new aesthetic, and while the open world is definitely one of the weaker ones, I can't really fault it because of the time period it takes place in, and there are some cool, gorgeous locale. And if you do pick this game up, get the Steelbook. I got the Steelbook back in the day, and I still love the Steelbook. And with the photo mode and some of the goofiness you can do in the gameplay, there's absolutely fun to be had. And this game does have the reputation of being rather grindy if you just go into the, getting all the gear. But if you don't worry about that, you'll be fine. Go have fun in the dungeons. Yes, the dungeons give a great way to relive the combat in this game. Even a recent entry like Power Yakuza brought that back. But all in all, there was a lot of fun to be had in Ishin. Sub-stories, side content, a gorgeous photo mode, cool abilities to goof around it, and boss fights, music, and a story that is still gripping and has a hell of an ending that I adore. All in all, if you're a fan and you still haven't played this, or you wonder why the whole series somehow moved on from this entry, this game that once was the first one to be announced at that one summer show in 2022, or whatever live stream RGG was having, this was the first game they announced for early 2023, and then end of 2023 we got the Mana Races named, and after that we got Infinite Wealth. So those 3 games back to back was a hell of a time, and I think having an additional Kiwami like Ishin fill a gap of having a classic entry return. And of all the Kiwamis, this is also the one that is technically the least untouched, if you don't look at the bigger changes like casting or some of the combat cards. But yeah, if you haven't played Ishin, go get it. What are you waiting for, huh? I've been Mr. Tiger Drop Films. If you wish this game got more exposure from its own fan base, leave a drop in the comments below, leave a like, and share with your fellow Tiger Droppers. Until then, I've got more Like a Dragon videos coming and other videos that I like. Until then, stay tuned and I'll see ya in the next one.